welcome to the Open Job Pink Couch. And our guest today is Jason Merrithew. Welcome, Jason. You have retail travel in your blood. You were born to it. But I want you to talk to me a little bit about what it means to be a retailer in today's market.
Awesome. Thanks for having me here today, Nina. It's great that we started off with retail travel, because I think that's really an interesting concept to talk about in 2018 and going forward, and what we really do mean by retail travel. Because I think so often the idea of retail conjures up these images of a store on the corner, somebody walking by, looking in the window, walking in and saying, I'm ready to purchase a trip. Yes. Which I think we know now it is really not the way that this works anymore. There's so many different touch points, there's so many different customer interactions that go into a client making the decision to not just travel, but to decide who they want to plan their vacation with, whether that is with a travel consultant or whether it's with an online travel agency or some type of self-booking app. The landscape has changed so much that I really do think that the idea of retail travel, I don't actually consider retail travel to be sort of segments anymore. We sort of view, what might have been traditionally called retail offices more as sales hubs, sales locations. And it's a great place to have a team of consultants sit, share knowledge, meet with customers potentially, and have a place to maybe put your brand out into the world. But we certainly don't rely on walk-in traffic as a method to conduct our business. And I actually don't think that's a model that can be really counted on going forward. And it's not just in travel that we see that. I mean, you're seeing it in so many different segments, whether it's clothing retailing or household goods or anything, you're seeing the quote-unquote demise of retail. But for travel, I think we have a bunch of unique factors, and it's not the demise of retail, it's the reimagining of what the in-person experience is with a travel consultant.
Now, I want to ask you something, because you hear and read a lot about how consumers are coming back, rediscovering the travel agent, of course, the traditional word for travel agent. And there's so many articles about how, when the internet came, the travel agent was dead. Now, okay. So what are you seeing in terms of a trend out in the consumer marketplace? And if they do, therefore, want a consultant, which they don't know that that's what they want, how do they go about having that interaction, that human interaction?
Right, and I think that's a really interesting way to look at it, because what you have is you have a certain subset of customers who, let's be honest, are probably actually not looking to work with a professional.
Right.
Maybe they love the thrill of the hunt. They like clicking around. They like looking for deals. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think as travel consultants, one of the responsibilities that we really have is to allow ourselves to be a little bit more aggressive in being a bigger part of the conversation and sooner in the process of booking travel. I think traditionally travel consultants, or I guess more traditional travel agents, were part of the booking process either right at the very beginning when, you're the only source to purchase this, or maybe in the interim after the internet exploded, it was right at the end with, I've done all the research and I'd like to go book this, can you do it for me? Whereas I think that in order to be successful in 2018 and in fact years from now, if consultants are actually not part of the entire conversation, which is not just conducting the transaction, but it is part of the inspiration to select the destination, part of the process to determine what type of travel people want to do, I don't think that a consultant is going to be able to add value in a way that really is the future of how I think this industry functions.
But with so many channels, I mean, let's face it, it's unlimited now, the number of channels that you have to consider, as well as the fact that, you're dealing with so many different markets where you look at potentially a millennial, which it's the buzzword, the millennial.
Yeah, but at least now we've said it so we can move on. Which is about millennials.
Don't use just one channel for one, they're using 5 million of them. Small exaggeration, but to make a point, how does a consultant go out there and reach that consumer?
So I think that's a really interesting question, because it involves knowing something really important about your customer, which is that they're not going to interact with you on your terms. They're going to interact with you how they want to. And whether that means that they don't actually want to have a phone call, whether it means they don't want to come at you by email, maybe they want to be able to have a chat with you over Facebook Messenger. Maybe they want to be able to chat over WhatsApp or whatever it is. you need to engage with a more savvy travel consumer on their terms and understand that that might be outside of your comfort zone. But in the long run, what we need to do is we need to be able to show that consultants can showcase their expertise to travelers, not just in coming into a store or coming into an office and sitting down and looking at some brochures or whatever it is, but we need to show that we are ambassadors for travel as a whole. I think we have a huge role to play, consultants have a huge role to play in actually motivating people to travel. And I think that's part
great.
of being a part of the path to purchase a lot sooner. And it's maybe it's publishing that blog about the top 5 things I saw when I was in Amsterdam, or the top 20 things that are going on in Thailand today. And what you're doing is you're adding to that conversation, because you know that millennials are basically reading the entire internet before they come to you. And the amount of impact that you can have over a millennial's decision to work with a consultant or not is really dependent upon whether any of the content that they consumed when they were researching, whether it came from you. Maybe not you personally, maybe the brand that you're a part of.
Right.
So maybe they got a Merit Travel blog post about
Right.
about what's going on in Europe right now, or the cool hotels in Africa, or whatever it is, and you're demonstrating your credibility.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you become a resource for people, and they want to interact with you because they're saying, hey, you had something great to say about this. I'd really love to learn more. What can you tell me? And then once you demonstrate that, that's where it stems into, oh, well, if you know all of this stuff, can you just do this for me? Because you seem to know this better than I do.
It sounds like you're almost suggesting that travel consultants become influencers themselves, rather than using influencers, that they become the influencer.
Well, I think that we have a certain responsibility. Yeah, I think consultants do have a responsibility to not just sit back and wait for business to come
Right.
in. I think when you look at how well traveled a lot of travel consultants are, when you look at the opportunities to travel that we have, we are doing our business and our business development a disservice to not showcase that to clients and even potential clients, because if they don't know you just spent 10 days on a river cruise in Europe, they're going to have absolutely no idea that might be a thing, and they also don't know that you're an expert in that. Right. And if that was something they were thinking about, and they knew you were an expert resource because you've been there, you've done that, then they're much more likely to work with you if they know it. The amount of good we can bring to people by helping them choose a destination, choose a travel experience, and see the world differently, I think we can do amazing things with that.
You're inspiring me, and I'm in the business, so I can imagine what you're doing for the people of the company. Thanks for coming in. We have to continue this.
Thanks a lot, Nina. Thanks for having me.